Good afternoon, guys. Good morning, good night. Wherever you are, good that. It's Ishizu here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a different game, not from the Clash Ninja series, as the title implies and the thumbnail. We're talking about Naruto x Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, which is the latest installment in the Storm series. Storm, as many of you know, is not my favorite series. It's been getting a lot of negative press, and so I just wanted to hop on and discuss it a little bit. Is it that bad? Spoiler alert, yes it is, and we'll get into why. I've even heard some calling it the worst Storm game, writing it as the worst Storm game in the series. It's gotten some of the lowest, if not the lowest rating from a lot of big game reviewers, like IGN gave it a horrible score. So I'm gonna dive into that a little bit for you. So jumping in, these are all the Storm games. We've had Storm, Storm 2, Storm 3, Storm 4. You got the full burst DLC for Storm 3. You've got the Boruto DLC for Storm 4. And then you get the side games, Generations, Revolution, and now Connections, which is an in-between game. It links, usually it links to the main series. So this isn't Storm 5, it's what's setting up Storm 5. These usually focus on improving combat, adding in some of the characters, testing new mechanics out to see how they're liked before rolling it out. They're basically like tech demos in a sense for the next entry. They usually don't have any kind of main story mode, and all of that's returning in Storm Connections. No major story mode. You got new mechanics. Anyway, won't hold you too long. So I'll go ahead and jump right in. So I wanted to give basically a game designer's perspective on all of this. So basically what a game designer is in this context is they're kind of like a producer. Like the producer of a movie they don't write the scripts, they don't score the music, they don't do casting. They're there to oversee what is this movie, what are we going to include, what are we doing with this movie, what are we doing with what we have. That's kind of what a game designer is for a game. So who's included in this game, what are we going for. We don't necessarily do the coding, we don't necessarily do like the hardcore what mechanics specifically, but more so like I say, if we're making a Storm game, the game designer is the guy that's like, okay, let's get together what we're gonna do a custom story mode, we're gonna do these things. That's the game designer. So I want to talk about Storm Connections from that perspective as the executive decisions person. I am a game designer myself. For those who don't know, I am making a Naruto game myself. So this is kind of like to talk about things that I did differently versus what they're doing here. I did go to school for this. I'm actually a game designer. I'm not just a guy that does this in my hobbies. Moving on. So part one, why is Storm popular? So basically the foundation of why Storm Connections is getting poor reviews. Well, what made Storm popular to begin with? This. You basically can always count on Storm to have your fan favorites, your hot picks. In this case, it's Kara from the Boruto series. They picked the top 4 most popular Kara characters. You've got Koji Kashin, the Jiraiya clone, Boro, which is the first time we get to see Borushiki fighting Boro. You got Jigen, he's Jigen. No questions needed on that one. And Delta, obviously another self-explanatory one. She had a fantastic fight against Hokage Naruto in the village. So you got Kara here, beautiful visuals, beautiful cinematography. And so this is what you would expect Storm to be popular, except not quite. This is the real reason why Storm is popular. We love Naruto. We can't get enough Naruto. We love Naruto so much. I mean, they've been, the manga was 700 episodes, then we got light novels, then we got the Boruto, like early Boruto when it had Shinichia, then that became full Boruto. We got the spin-off with Minato, the one-shot series. I reckon there'll be more. We've got like, what, 4 animes? Naruto Part 1, Naruto Shippuden, Boruto, so I guess 3 animes. Plus you've got all the movies. Like there's just so much Naruto, we can't get enough Naruto. And of course the video games, we are always looking for new ways to interact with our favorite characters from Naruto. I mean, just look at how much nostalgia is on the screen right now. I just get all kinds of feelings and emotions looking at these different images. The Chunin exams, Itachi's return, all of this, the Pain Invasion, the 5 Kage Summit, Hebi, just so much happening The final battle, we love Naruto. And for this reason, it doesn't really matter what Storm puts out. If it has Naruto in the title and it has Naruto characters, we're going to check it out. So this is what really makes Storm popular, and this will play into why Connections is being so poorly received, in my humble opinion. Moving along. Best Storm game. So, in order to talk about the failures of Connections, I did want to also touch on what I believe is the height, the pinnacle of the Storm series. This is, of course, my perspective and opinion from a game designer's perspective. I understand this is going to make some people upset. This is also going to come as a shock to some people, and some people may even agree. Hands down, in my humble opinion, the best Storm game. The highlight of the Storm series was Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. I mean, just look at the scope of what it covers. This isn't even all the boss fights in the game, and this covers, this game covers from the start of Naruto Shippuden, so the homecoming, all the way through the Pain Invasion arc in the lead. That is an incredible, that is like the largest set of story arcs in any Naruto game ever. Storm 2. Like, that's at least, what, 9 or 10 arcs of the show that it covers in one game. And it doesn't really skip anything. Like, it skips some of the minor fun stuff, but, like, it covers all the major events. These are boss fights from, like, almost every arc. One thing I like, too, is all the boss fights were, like, they were unique. They had mini games within them, like the Naruto versus Kakashi one. Like, there was a mini game where, like, he would jump down to the ground and strike the water with Chidori. So you had to stand on the land to not get electrocuted. Then he would jump up here on the, like, rocks, and, like, you couldn't touch him. And this is all real time, not, these are not quick time events. Real time, he would be up here and you'd have to use a support. So this was basically teaching you or reteaching you the support system. And you'd have to use your support, Sakura, to destroy the rock, to knock him down. So strategy, the one with the strength, destroys the rock. So it's teaching you about Naruto, it's teaching about Sakura's character development in a clever boss fight. Plus, you get your quick time events, which shows Naruto clashing a Rasengan with Kakashi's lightning blade. These are like dream moments that fit right in with that battle perfectly. Deidara puts you on a high-speed chase in the Sand Village, shooting down his birds. Incredible pace. Completely different from the boss fight we just had. This one's focused less on fighting and more on thrill. You get the, like, it's just so much to go on. I won't go into too much detail. Anyway, I think Storm 2 is the best. There are no slideshows in Storm 2's story mode. Everything is either a cutscene or in engine. So they put a lot of details into this. True to the source material, meaning they got their stuff from the source. Their jutsu are all derived from the manga and anime. The only time they usually take liberties is like characters like Ino, where she didn't do much in the story at this point. They didn't have much to go off of, so they just created some generic jutsu for her. They did that a few times, again, for characters that didn't have much development at this point in the story. But otherwise, Naruto's gonna use jutsu he got from the show. He's not using some random made-up shit. Sasuke's not using a random triple crit Kirin threat. He's using the jutsu used in the show. It's true to the source material. And finally, biggest point for me is all characters are playable. If they showed up in any kind of combat situation in the story mode, they are selectable from the roster in versus mode. This is actually the last Storm game to do that. Every other Storm entry in the future will have some level of characters that show up in game with some level of movesets that are not playable and still are not playable. We'll get to that later. But in Storm 2, every character that showed up in combat in the story mode is playable in the character roster, and that includes all the story arcs from Homecoming to the Pain Invasion arc. Mind-boggling they pulled this all off in one game with nothing brought over from Storm 1. Not a single character. I mean, the characters they did bring over, they redid for Storm 2 because they had to give them their Shippuden stuff like Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade. They got their updated Shippuden stuff, but otherwise, the main cast, all new. They didn't copy-paste anything. You got all this new stuff over basically scratch. So, moving along, basically, this is an example of a game where they did not include all characters from the story mode. Now, this didn't really have a story mode, but this game was poorly received because you had Sage Naruto here, but there's no Pain. There's no pain. They just skip. There's no heavy. There's no Taka. They just jump. They added in Killer Bee. Him from the 5 Kage Summit, none of the other 5 Kage. And then Sage Naruto, but no pain. So this is an example of what happens when you don't include characters. This game was very poorly received. And that was one of the big reasons why, is the character roster didn't make sense. Storm 2 made sense. This doesn't make sense. Apple Watch. And Storm Connections basically does the same thing this game does, including characters that are irrelevant to the game itself. And it's like, what? Why? Anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit. Part 3. Where does Storm fall short? So, again, to jump into why Connections is so not great, we gotta see what has been the trend so far. Basically, what's been the problem and what hasn't been solved, what's getting worse. So, let's start with this shit! Back to the point on the characters. Most of you looking at the screenshots are like, yep. 90% of the characters on screen right now are not playable. Yep, you're looking at actual in-game screens, 90% of them are not playable. These are what they call support-only characters, meaning they coded movesets and jutsus designed for supports only, but they are not selectable characters from the character roster. These screens are from Storm Generations that introduced these supports. And in Storm Generations, like, they didn't say that up front that these were supports. So when they released these screenshots, it was very much so, oh yay, Kages and their supports, their teammates, their gods. And then you get the game and you can only play as the Kage themselves. The assists are not a playable character. And to this very day, even up to Storm Connections, they have never made a playable appearance. Key characters. He becomes the Mizu Kage. He joins Kara. She becomes the Tsuchi Kage. I don't know what happens to him. They forgot about him, and that's fattest. They don't do much because they, of course, get killed. They included Darui eventually, but he was a support only in this character. Still, no love for she. Anko from the tuning exams. Not playable. How do you even have a game that covers part 1 that just skips Anko? Kurenai. She literally is married to Asuma, our favorite sensei who gets killed. Why is she not playable? To this day, not playable. The most disgusting ones, in my opinion, are these. They actually have the full 7 Mist Swordsmen plus the Gold and Silver Brothers, fully fightable in story mode. You can do storm battles, all of that, boss fights, all of that. Not playable to this day. Obviously, you can play as Zabuza and Haku, so not including them. They're good to go. But the rest, the seven ninja swordsmen, and the Gold and Silver Brothers, not playable to this day. They've been in since Storm 3. Storm 3. We've had Storm 3, Storm Revolution, Storm 4, and now Storm Connections, and none of these characters since Storm 3 have been playable. This is criminal. This is criminal. This is criminal. Storm has been, they started this shit in Storm Generations with the support onlys. They carried it over into Storm 3 by having the Gold and Silver Brothers and the 7 Ninja Swordsmen not playable, and you better believe it's in Storm 4 as well. They still haven't made any of these characters playable. Moving on. Yeah. Who is this? Favorite nine-tailed Naruto, but without a tail. It's when he still has control over his mind and he gets rage. It's kind of like Rage Naruto. Most games call him nine-tailed Naruto. Where is he? Where is he in any Storm game? They just ignore him. I think he, like, when he's using, like, one of the Rasengans or something, he, like, kind of goes into it for the cinematic, but he's otherwise not playable. He was involved in the Haku fight, he fought Orochimaru, he fought Neji in this form, and he fought Sasuke in this form. These are major moments in the show, and this character in this form is not playable. Moving on. These are all other forms that showed up in the story of Naruto and fought in multiple battles against multiple characters that also are not playable. The Garas, now I do give some liberty. A lot of these characters have never showed up in any game, but when you're talking about a game as big as Storm, a franchise as big as the Storm series that now has, 7 games, you have a certain level of expectation on what they cover. 7 games in this franchise, and we're still missing Gaara in this form. This would have been great to add the Storm connections, to increase that, enhance that boss fight from Storm 1, enhance by adding this as a playable form beforehand. Ninetales cloaked Naruto in any capacity in Shippuden. They put this version in his Nine-tailed Rasengan, where he briefly goes into it, does Rasengan, and then diverts. They just forgot he ever went 3 tails. They just completely forgot about that. They said he never went 3 tails. I don't remember that. 8 tails Killer Bee with the cloak. Again, same as Naruto. He transforms into the cloak to do a lariat and then untransforms at the end of the jutsu. But he absolutely fights in this form. He fights in this form during his fight against Sasuke and Killer Bee. Version 2. Not playable. Same exact thing. The different variant of Killer Bee with the Samehara, he just transforms to this, does a super lariat, and reverts. Yet this version fought against Killer Bee. I'm sorry, against Kisame. Not playable. The 9-tailed versions of the Tailed Beast. These, none of them, not a single one playable. They don't even show up in the game. Do you know how cool it would be if you could actually awaken into I forgot it, Utakara, and use this form with the purple? That fight against Pain was so cool. I was like, can we go back and get all the fights like this of the Jinchuriki? It was so cool seeing them transform and turn purple and use a uniqueness. Storm just forgot. They just neglected, didn't include it at all. Not at all. Nothing. All the Jinchuriki are playable, can't play as any of these forms. So that leads me into the Tailed Beast problem. It's so basically embarrassing that Storm does this and thinks it's acceptable. So remember how I said none of those variants of Killer Bee were playable, despite Storm having an awakening system? That's because characters are allowed one awakening, and Storm decided to make Killer Bee's awakening a full Tailed Beast transformation. There are multiple problems with this. I'm going to remove that. I don't know why I drew on that. There are multiple problems with this. One is, did Killer Bee actually ever fight in this form against Sasuke? Because this is from Storm 2. The answer is no. He transformed to use the Tailed Beast Bomb. That's why he transformed, to use the Tailed Beast Bomb. So if you're going to... What I'm going to do in my game, this is where I'm there. This is a game designer decision where they chose to disregard the version 2s or make them cutscene only and make the playable versions the Tailed Beast. This is where I feel that was a poor decision as a game designer and where I'm doing something different in my game. I'm swapping it. In my game, you can play as the version 1 and version 2 variants of Tailed Beasts. So basically the cloak, and the version 2, where they actually turn into like miniature, human-sized, red, with the red skin. Those variants will be the awakening versions, and then when you use your jutsu, your cinematic ultimate, that's when they take on a full transformation to execute a Bijou Bomb or whatever their attack is. That's how they're in my game, and the reason for that is simple. Look at the size of this. This is not a Tailed Beast. He's shorter than the tree line behind him. Versus, look here from the anime, Tailed Beasts are massive. They are massive. They don't fit on maps. If you summon a Tailed Beast, you can forget punching and kicking. You don't fight a Tailed Beast with your fists. You run for your life, you seal it, or you do like Sasuke and burn the thing with a Madarasu. You don't punch and kick a Tailed Beast. Look at the size of this. So in order for them to fit this character in a stage, they have to shrink him by a considerable amount. And they do this for all the Tailed Beasts. It's embarrassing seeing this on screen, calling this the Gyuki, the Hachibi. That's not Gyuki. That's not Hachibi. I don't know what this is. That is a Tailed Beast. I don't know what this is. They do the same thing for Susanoo. Susanoo here is like a small armor. Like, this is barely two times Sasuke's size. So it's like maybe like 2.5 of Sasuke's size. This thing is supposed to be like 4 to 5 times the size of a human. It's massive, the Susanoo armor. It's like a god size. But again, in my game, your rib cage, it's not just a god. Your rib cage would be your base version, and maybe you summon an arm as the version that can punch and kick, and then your jutsu will utilize these massive versions. Versus Storm, they did the opposite. They got rid of all the base versions of Susanoo's, and they just put the full versions there, and they're tiny, because I don't know why they make these decisions. Anyway, this is another fallacy of Storm. So, to contrast that, they actually do include the full scale versions in the story mode. And it's laughable, the difference. Like, look at the size of Shikaku. His hand is the size of Naruto. Versus Hachibi was the size of his hand in the last image. Look how massive the Ninetales is. That's menacing, seeing something that big peering down at you. So the boss fights, they get the scale right. Look how badass Itachi's Susanoo is, towering above him like that. And we're not going to even talk about the abomination that is Madara's Susanoo. In a good way, a good abomination. Like, that was one of the few boss fights in Storm 3 where I was like, okay, alright, fine. They did this one correct. Look at the scale of that. It's massive. The Ten Tails makes the Ninetales look like a human-sized character. That's how massive he is. So they can get the scales right in story mode. They just fuck it up in gameplay. I don't know why they try to make these playable. Leave these in the cutscenes. Leave these in the boss fights. Give us the base forms, like the QBs, the miniature ones. Give us version 2s as playable characters, and leave these for the cinematics. So moving on, I just wanted to compare to, you see the size of Susanoo here? This is what the Susanoo's look like in game. Perfect Susanoo's. That right here, this towering Susanoo, is that. What are they thinking? Putting these as playable characters. Itachi and Shisui have never used perfect Susanoo before. Storm would rather put a made-up perfect Susanoo at a laughable scale as an awakening than something cool such as their actual awakenings, like the skeleton Susanoo for Itachi. That would be way cooler to me, his partial Susanoo as the playable version, and then let the perfect Susanoo be a grand boss battle or cinematic ultimate. But instead, we have his awakening wasted as a perfect Susanoo that's the size of what? These are miniature. Just to give you perspective, in the show, the character's full bodies fit in the forehead of the Susanoo. Not the head, the forehead diamond. To give you perspective on the size of what a perfect Susanoo is supposed to look like. But in this game, they've reduced these to like oversized humans. I don't know why they're doing this. You will not see this show up in my game. First of all, I don't even think you're going to see these perfect Susanoo's in my game at all. If they do, they will be cinematics only. And it's going to be epic cinematics. Moving on, part 4. Finally, we're, 20 minutes into the video? What went wrong with Storm connections? So we've seen the highlight. We see why people like Storm. We love Naruto. We love experiencing Naruto's and new ways to experience Naruto. We've seen the pinnacle of the series. Storm 2, with all its uniqueness, everyone's playable. It's derived from the source material. We're not creating perfect Susanoo's that are at laughable scale. They're actually deriving the stuff from the show. And then we see some of the fallacies with Storm series, these support-only characters, slideshows. So what went wrong with Storm connections? Let's jump in. I'm just going to read you the exact verbiage of what they told us this game was going to be in the trailer. All right, and I quote, "Relive the epic moments of the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series, recut and connected into one." Ah! Finally! Finally, all these Storm games with different stories. We have Storm Legacy, and it's a different game and a different fighting engine for all these fights. Finally, I get to play one Storm game, an updated fighting engine, and they're redoing all the boss fights and all the story modes, and they're putting it into one game. Ah, beautiful. So I get it. They're getting ready for Boruto, and so before we get into the Boruto story, they're going to take all of Naruto Part 1 and Part 2 and put it into one Storm game. Mwah, beautiful. Except when you buy the game, that is not at all what happened. As we now know, after launch, what they meant by relive the epic moments of the Naruto Storm series, they meant relive their choices of epic moments. Because I thought the boss fight, the chase through the Sand Village was epic. I thought everything about Storm 2's boss fights were epic, but they only took certain ones. and recut and connected them, and they actually made them worse. They made them significantly easier, removed certain phases, added certain phases. They took what was good and they made it bad. They didn't even include, this is false advertising. So that's the first point, false advertising. What you pitch the game as is not what was delivered. It's an under-promise. An over-promise. Nintendo did something similar with Mario Kart Wave 1. They said, oh yeah, we're remastering however many tracks for Mario Kart 8. And we're thinking, oh wow, we've gotten DLC before. Oh, this is going to be so fantastic. We're going to get all these brand new reimaginations of these tracks. But what they really were saying was what we got was ported. They ported models from the mobile game, Mario Kart Tour. That's what happened with Nintendo, and it was very much so negatively received on the launch. They're like, what is this shit? They just ported it straight over, didn't even update the textures. It was so poor. Like, it's still controversial to this day, the whole DLC package. You went from the top tier, no questions asked, best Mario Kart game in the world to the most questionable, controversial, and it's the same exact thing here with Storm. Relive the epic moments of the Storm series, recut and connected except for its select moments. They're re-edited horribly, and they pieced them together with slideshows. No cutscenes, no quick time events in the news story. They just they put some slideshows together, and then it's inserted one out of several boss fights, and then called it a day. Horrible redone. Let's talk about the abomination that is the character roster. And I mean, before we can get into the characters on the roster, the character roster itself, the selection, is an abomination. How do you even navigate it? It's the laziest, just throw characters in there in any given order and figure it the fuck out. Like, it's almost, it's so poorly done. They put zero thought into designing a character selection that is remotely easy to navigate and find what you're looking for. One of the most unforgivable things is they took away alternate costumes for many, but not all, but many, they took away their second costumes and put it as a character slot. I don't know either why they chose to do that. So let's talk about some of the abominations. There are 6 Shippuden Narutos, half of which are all base. There are 3 different base Naruto. That's criminal. That's criminal. That's criminal. Base Shippuden Naruto takes up 3 character spots. Shippuden Naruto period takes up 6 spots. Just to give you guys perspective at how many Shippuden Narutos are in the game, there are 3. It is definitely hard for a character that has as much character development as Naruto to cover in one single character, but there are 3 Shippuden Narutos total, including from the beginning of Naruto Shippuden all the way till the last battle. My Narutos for my game are going to be regular Naruto. That covers basically Naruto with an untamed tailed beast. So everything up until he masters the 9 tails. That's version 2. Version 2 is Naruto with the 9 tails mastered. I think I'm calling him Windstar because this is also, or I'm sorry, Perfect Sage Naruto is what I'm calling him now. Perfect Sage Naruto is basically, he's mastered Sage mode, so this covers his Sage mode, and he's mastered the 9 tails. So he's a perfect Sage on both fronts, because he doesn't have to rely on clones, and he doesn't have to worry about the 9 tails drawing, like blocking him. So it covers those 2 forms, so his Sage mode and that. Oh, and this covers transformations too. So unmastered Naruto can transform into the 9 tails. He can go the 1 tails cloak, 3 tails cloak, 4 tails, 6 tails. Yeah, he does those 4 forms. And then the mastered version with Perfect Sage can do Sage mode and can also layer that on top of KCM. And that includes KCMs 1 and 2. Those are all that's one character. And I'm going to make it work. I already have the basis for the moveset and how that works, all the jutsu, the progression of the transformations, all that's worked out. So that's 2 Narutos, and then the 3rd Naruto is Naruto with 6 paths chakra. So Naruto 6 paths or Naruto Ashura spirit, and that's just the variant that can transform. When he goes into his KCM, he goes into, of course, the 6 paths variant. That's it, just those 3. What I can do in 3 Narutos, it took them 6. Just letting you know that. The same goes for Sasuke. There are 5 Sasukes. That's absolutely criminal. Mine also reduces this to 3 Sasukes. There's Hebi Sasuke, who has a curse mark. There's Taka Sasuke, who does not have a curse mark, but does have a Mangekyo Sharingan. And then there's Six Paths Sasuke. You may go, but what about EMS? Can you name one thing EMS does that Mangekyo doesn't do from a game perspective? It's just visuals. It's just Mangekyo Sharingan without the penalty of losing your eyesight. That's all it is. His Susanoo looks a little bit different. That's just changing the model for his... Yeah, it's an outfit. It's an outfit. If you choose Kage Summit Sasuke, his outfit will be from the Kage Summit, and his Susanoo will look like the one that was from the Kage Summit. If you choose his EMS outfit, where he has this collar already zipped up, then his eyes will look different, and he'll use a slightly different Susanoo looking. But, like, he didn't fight any different. He doesn't get any new abilities or powers. It's just Mangekyo Sharingan without penalties, essentially. From a game perspective. Like, yeah, tweak the visuals. You don't need 4 character spots for that. And finally, and same thing with Akatsuki Cloak. Akatsuki Cloak's not a different character. It's just Sasuke. That's an outfit. And then the last one is Sasuke with the Rinnegan, 6 paths. Yeah, that one is more than visual. He actually uses different moves. Yeah, so that's how I'll do Sasuke. 3 Sasukes, they have 5. There are 2 Kabutos. Why? Sage Kabuto is an awakening. This Kabuto's awakening is taking off a... No! His awakening is this. I don't know why these are 2 characters. There are 3 Gars. Why are there 3 Gars? Gar literally does nothing different throughout the show. The same Gar in part 1 is, like, at the beginning of Shippuden is the same one in the Kage Summit arc, the same one at the end. Like, for what he does. Like, he doesn't do anything different that warrants having a separate character slot. Yet he has 3 character slots. I don't get it. Yeah. There are... Guys, this game doesn't even cover Boruto's story. And there are already 4 Borutos. There are already 4 Borutos. And it doesn't even cover the Boruto story. We don't even have a game that covers the Boruto story yet, and there are 4 Borutos in this game. Why are there 4 Borutos in this game? Ah! We got 2 Boruto Narutos, a version that can go into Baryon mode, and a version that's just regular. And we have 2 Sasukes now. I don't even know what the second Sasuke does. I don't even know what that's a reference to. Sasuke doesn't change in Boruto. He doesn't change. I don't know why there's 2 Boruto Sasukes. And this is in addition to them also having outfits from the last. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know why there are this many versions of these characters. And then, of course, you have your pre-time skip variants. It's too many. I think there's, what, let's see, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 Narutos and 8 Sasukes, excluding their kids. If you include the kids, then there are 10 Narutos and 9 Sasukes. Why? Why do we need this many? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Also, embarrassingly, I don't understand this. Why did the Boruto variants get their own character spots? These are actual copies of the Shippuden cast. There's no difference. They're just Shippuden characters with the Boruto models. But there are also outfits for the last for some of the characters, and those are alternate outfits for the base. So Sakura can change into the last outfit. So why is that not an alternate? Why is that not a character spot, but these are? I guess they're just trying to make the Boruto menu look bigger, but these are just copies of the Shippuden characters. I don't understand it either. Oh yeah, did we ever talk about how there's 6 adult Obitos? Okay, I guess 5 adult Obitos, and then that one's teenager. Guys, this is a disaster. This is a clusterfuck. This is a clusterfuck. And of course, oh yeah, same thing here. These are yeah, copies of the Shippuden cast. Why are these characters even here? What? Anyway, the roster is a shit show. We've talked about it long enough. This video is getting too long. I'll move on. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Storm Connections, it's officially got Boruto in the official title. It's no longer DLC. We are now Naruto x Boruto Ultimate Storm Connections. So where are the Boruto characters? How are we jumping? How do we have Jigen in this game? How do we have Baryon Mode Naruto? That's like the end of Boruto, part 1. How do we have him and we don't even have the core cast playable? Shinky? Do you know what I would do if Shinky was playable in a game? Remember how I told you Storm 2 was the highlight? The reason why is because they covered everything. They didn't skip anything. Every character from the main fights in the show were covered. Can you imagine if Storm 2 skipped that and it just had the roster of Storm 1? They included some fan favorites like Shippuden Naruto, Shippuden Sasuke, and all their variants. And then they threw in Pain. So you just have like Naruto, Sasuke from Shippuden, and Pain. And they just skipped Ino, Choji, Shikamaru. They just skipped all of them and just jumped straight to Pain. Pain's included. Done. Everything that made Pain important and relevant and cool was the build-up. It was seeing him take down your characters like Jiraiya. It was seeing the being in love with the characters that were in the village, so when he attacked it, you were worried about these characters. Boruto, they just skipped it. You have Boruto playable, now we're already talking about Kara. Why is Kara even relevant in this game? Why are they here? There are so many better characters to pick for Storm Connections. Can you imagine if we played as the new 7 Ninja Swordsmen from Boruto? These are so cool. I remember when they first got introduced, I was like, these seem off-brand, but then I actually ended up liking them. They even brought back these three, four, I'm sorry, I forgot Kagura was one of them. So they even brought back these four for another arc. They got a whole arc. So they get 2 arcs in the Boruto series. Do you know what it'd be? It'd be so cool to have them playable in Storm Connections. And again, Shinki, they don't even have the Mizukage, the 6th Mizukage is not playable at all. At all! Not even pre-Kage. Not even from the Kage Summit. Shippuden, no Boruto variant is playable. Same thing goes for the 4th Tsuchikage Kurotsuchi. Neither of these characters are playable in any capacity. In no forms. Boruto or Kage or Shippuden variants. But we've got Jigen. I don't understand, guys. Where's the rest of Kara? If you're gonna jump to Kara, they skipped! Where's this guy? I don't even remember his name. Maybe that's why they include him. But he was the first Kara member we met. Deepa! Deepa was so cool! I would take Deepa any day over Jigen. Where is Deepa? Deepa was so cool and unique and interesting. Where's Deepa? Where's the rest of... Why is Jigen? Why do we have the roster that we have? Why is Baryon Mode Naruto playable? Why is Baryon Mode Naruto playable, guys? Moving on. So these are the ultimate costumes we got, because these are the extras, the accessories. So we've got face Kakashi. Guys, this is wrong. This is wrong. Why? This was a cameo. This was just a joke for the anime. Why is this in a Storm game? We've got Minato from the one-shot manga that came out like, what, a few months ago? Why is this here? Kushina from the same. We've got the last outfits from the wedding day. What? You literally don't even dress like it. They're basically in church clothes. We've got, I don't even know what this was supposed to be. I don't even know. I think this was for the 20th anniversary. This is ridiculous that this even exists. The accessories. Why does Sasuke have Truth Seeker orbs? That's not an accessory. Those are actual, that's a jutsu. You can't just put Truth Seeker. Why is this here? Why is this here? And then the lazy colors. When I first saw this, like, is that even a different color? Is that not the color he's supposed to be wearing? The color palette is so lazy. A slightly off-tint dark cloak. A slight goldish instead of yellowish for Naruto. And, oh, is that even pink? Or is that like a less saturated normal color? Like, the colors are so lazy for the second color palettes. Do you guys know what this is? Yeah. These are all outfits and characters that are not in Storm Connections. It covers the last. We've got Naruto and Sasuke. They got whole character spots for the last. We've got Hanabi. Hanabi from the last. We've got at least outfits for Sakura and Hinata as well. But they just didn't do the rest. We don't have outfits for Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, Kibashino, Lee, Tensai, or the Sand siblings at that. So why pick the last outfits, but not the others? So sorry about that. So here we've got that they are adding in new outfits. They are adding in accessories and they're going for customizations, but core things like just the other character outfits. They didn't give Hinata and Sakura new movesets. They did it for Naruto and Sasuke. But they didn't give the other Shippuden characters that got last outfits new movesets. It's just the same moveset, no work. All they had to do was create the model. hey, models team, can you just create us some models so we can add them to the game? They couldn't even create the models. There are people that do custom models. And so you tell me fans can make models for these characters, but the actual producers couldn't do the models? Just so we can at least imagine what it would have been like had they covered the last in story mode? Where the hell is Tonari? Where the hell is Tonari? Where the hell is Tonari? He even has his own awakening with the Tensei God. Tonari is an Otsutsuki. They love their Otsutsuki. How did you jump to the I can't even remember their name, Momoshiki? How did you jump to Momoshiki and skip Tonari? Where's Tonari? Where's Urashiki? If we are gonna jump to Momoshiki, where's Urashiki? They spent a whole arc on this man. Urashiki was an actual cool character. I actually liked him. And the whole point of Urashiki was he went back in time so we could see what the Otsutsuki were like, battling with the younger cast. The younger cast are in this game. We can actually recreate those fights. Throw in Boruto's costume from that arc and put Urashiki in the game, and you have, guess what you have? Naruto to Boruto. Ultimate Ninja Storm connections, except for instead we're playing as Kara. Why is Kara in the game? We're playing as Baryon Naruto. Why is he here? You can't even play as his opponent, Ishiki. So much missed opportunity. And lastly, what you're looking at here is from the screenshots from the Clash Ninja game, is even things like stages. You may notice here, I'll go back up really quickly. Notice how all of these images are taken at the same exact generic forest stage. I think this was supposed to be a replication of where Gaara fought Rock Lee. It's been in like every Storm game. Where are the new stages? Where's the stage representation? So these are all stages from the Clash Ninja series that have not shown up in Storm. The Hokage Monument up here on top of the roof. Ichiraku Ramen Shop. Now these places do show up when we used to have free roam, but in terms of a stage where you can fight and interact with these parts of the show, they don't show up. They don't exist. You're fighting at a generic Hidden Leaf. It takes place somewhere. You can see the Hokage Monument way in the background. It's generic. These are specific locations in the village. This is where Naruto and he tried to recruit Team Kurenai for his Sasuke retrieval, to find Sasuke in Shippuden. This is where they were. Shino was against that tree. Hinata was over there. That's in the game. Not even referenced. The tree doesn't even show up. Not even in the cutscenes. They used the generic one. Riverside, y'all remember when Itachi returned? The Clash in the game is the only game to date that I'm aware of that actually had this stage playable. So you could recreate this fight of Kurenai and Asuma versus Itachi and Kisame. Tenshi Bridge. Tenshi Bridge. Guys, Tenshi Bridge was in Ultimate Ninja 5 on PlayStation 2. And it's not in Storm. It's not in Storm. The stage itself shows up in Storm 2's story mode. You can actually walk over it in the story mode. The cutscenes take place here. Can't find it at Tenshi Bridge. They never made it an actual formal stage. It's a great stage! Iconic! Can't play at Tenshi Bridge. I say all this, I'll show you some stats. In 2009, Naruto Shippuden Clash Ninja Revolution 3 released. It had 40 characters, which is it's sizable for the time, 40 characters, and there was actually just as many stages, 40 stages. There were 40 stages in Clash Ninja Revolution 3, I counted. 20 on the roster, and each one had two parts, part 1 and part 2, which were connected. So there were 20 rostered stages, 40 stages total, and you could actually separate them first and last half, which would actually expand the roster to double. But they are related, so they'll share the music usually, and they'll share the same theme, but they are still completely different stages, different sizes, different shapes. There are 40 unique stages in Revolution 3. That actually game didn't even include Tenshi Bridge or Orochimaru's hideout, which was in the Japanese variants of the game. And it managed to have 40 stages, and that's not even including three-way deadlock from the previous game. So there's still 6 more stages that are in the Wii games that were not even in this one. That's how many stages are in this, and its story mode only covered to the Kazekage Rescue arc. That's all it covered. The Kazekage Rescue arc, and it had 40 characters and 40 stages, and no part 1 characters. To compare, Storm Connections is released here at the end of 2023, has 130 plus characters on its roster spots, and it only has 66 stages. Yeah, it's more than 44, but you're talking about a game that covers from the beginning of Naruto, part 1, the kids, all the way through the Boruto Chunin exams arc. That is 3 animes. 3 animes it covers. 3 animes and like 2 mangas. And it only has 66 stages. I'm finding out a generic grass stage and I still can't even play at the Tenchi Bridge. This is the kind of lazy stuff that Storm has been doing forever. They would rather put more fake content in their games than real content. They would put bikini suit Tsunade, all these accessories like Truth Seeker orbs, all these generic. Sasuke's using 3 Karens in his cinematic jutsu. You've got perfect Susanoo Itachi. Things that otherwise never happened in the show are all up in Storm Connections. Almost the main attraction is things that never happened, is the main attraction to a Naruto game. And you're not even including stuff that was in Naruto. That was iconic. Remember when I said at the beginning of the video, what we love most about Storm is that it's Naruto? It's not Naruto anymore. They don't even derive material from the show anymore. They just say, okay, there's a character named Baryon Mode, something that people like, put that in. And that's what's happened in Storm Connections. From a game designer's perspective, it's just bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. I don't even think the current game designer even watches the show or reads the manga or even cares to reference it anymore, because they just take the hype moments and stuff them in a game and say, oh, new Storm game, they'll buy it. It's got Jigen in it. They'll see Jigen and they'll buy it. And we don't even have key stuff. Kurenai's right here playable at the stage, so you can recreate that fight from the show. An iconic fight. Super iconic. It was one of the best moments in part 1 of Naruto, and you can recreate that whole fight. You can actually go down onto the water. That's the second half of the stage. You can go down. This stage is huge. You can go fight on the water. Remember, he kicked her down and they went and fought down there? You can do that in this game. Back in 2009. Actually, back in 2008, when the previous version of this released, Revolution 2. Can't do it in Storm. A game that has 130 characters in 2023 and supposed to cover the entire series. You can't even relive something as iconic as that, yet we are playing as Baryon Mode Naruto. Yet Sasuke's using jutsu that he's otherwise never used in the series ever. We've got perfect Susanoo Shisui, a character that has never fought on screen before in the anime or manga outside of filler arcs. There's more fake content in Storm Connections at this point than there is real content. Why? 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 So anyway, in summary, in conclusion, let's go over a few things that I didn't show off. This is again from the game designer's perspective, but there are other faults with the game series. So first, no private rooms. What this means is you can't play online with your friends. This is probably one of the biggest negative comments I've been hearing about the game, is if you play online, you can't play with your friends. You play with random strangers. In a world post-pandemic where we're still social distancing to an extent and we're still trying to avoid parties to an extent, not that frequently, online is still very important for health and safety reasons, and you can't even play online with your friends. No penalty for rage quitting, meaning people rage quit. So if you're winning, you're good at the game, you put the time and the hours and you invest and you try and you really try to climb the ranks and win. If you make someone upset and they're angry that they lost, they can rage quit and you won't get your points. You would have played online, but you already can't play with your friends. You would have played online and can't even get your points. You can't leave once you're connected. Hashtag frame rate. So that means if you connect with someone, you can't leave. You're done. That's it. You gotta fight this person. So if someone has a poor connection and the game is all spotty, you can't do anything about it. You just have to suffer through it. Or that means losing the battle and taking a hit if you can't overcome the frame rate and the lag, or if maybe you just rage quit. It's not like you're gonna get penalized for it. English dub. It's awful. It's not AI, it's just bad, and we don't care. That's basically what Namco's response was. People thought that the English dub was so bad in this game that, trust me, go listen to some of the clips. It's awful, it's horrendous. It was so bad that people thought that they were using AI, including the voice actors had to stop being like, I don't remember saying it, and if I did say it, it certainly wasn't like that. That's how bad it was, to the point to where Namco Bandai has had to make a public announcement less than a month into this game's release to confirm that they did not use AI, that it's just, and what they did was they're like, it's not AI, it's just bad. Yeah, we'll try to fix it. We might fix it later. It's just bad. We released it knowing it's bad, and we just don't care. This happened. This happened. They didn't use those exact words. But yeah, they do claim they didn't use AI, but they also confirmed it's bad. Guys, the game's not even a month old, and we've already got them blatantly going online with the balls to say, yep, we made something bad. Not, here's the fix for it. So sorry, it's, yeah, no, in the future, we'll think about it. In the future. Guys, when it comes, maybe I'll edit this video, but it hasn't come yet. Some characters have not been touched at all since their first appearance. Guys, yeah, you're hearing that correctly. Some characters have not been touched since their first appearance. They added them to the game, and then they've just been copying and pasting ever since. And that's actually the next point, is there is way too much copy and paste from Storm 4. Way too much of it. Way too much copy and paste. They literally just copy and paste it. I don't know what else to tell you. They just copy and paste it from Storm 4, and then added some minor things, a poor story, and said, here's a new game, full price. Original characters are not playable. So remember how this has a custom story mode? If you didn't know, this game has a custom story mode, and there's 2 new characters that are exclusive to this game, and you fight them in the story mode, and they are not playable. Remember how I said Storm 2 is the pinnacle? Because he can play as everyone in the story? Yep. You can't play as everyone in the story, not even the main people you fight. They're not playable in versus mode. Obviously, we already addressed slideshow history mode, but slideshow history mode exists. Yeah, it's a slideshow. It's a PowerPoint presentation that they said was a story mode. You paid all this money to watch a slideshow. Yep. No quick time events. Yep. The new story mode does not have quick time events. It's just cutscenes. Guys, we already watched the show. I've watched it multiple times. We've been watching it. I don't want to watch it again. I want to play it. This is a video game. I'm not paying this money to watch a show that I've already seen, that I can watch for free on my streaming services. I guess it's not for free with streaming, but I can just watch it without paying money for it. It's there. I can watch it as many times as I want. I don't have to pay money for it. And last but not least, all of this said, and this game is full price. They are selling this game as a full-fledged, brand new, enjoy the next entering Storm, and it's just Storm 4 with lazy DLC and source and material that's not even from the source. Just made up stuff that has no relevance to Naruto at this point. It was cool seeing Sasuke summon 3 Kirins. That never happened. He can't do that. I mean, I guess maybe in theory he could, but there are so many other things he did do that aren't in the game. I don't know why there are 3 Kirins in his jutsu. It's so cool, but it's not Naruto. It's not Naruto. So anyway, I'll end this video with a shameless plug. It's not really shameless. For those that don't know, I'm actually making a Naruto game, so this isn't just a Storm hate video. I didn't just hop on here for an hour to talk about how horrible everyone else is and give just another negative opinion. I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is. I'm actually doing the hard work. I've been working on this game for over 4 years now. I'm making a full-fledged Naruto game. It covers, as you can see, Part 1, Shippuden, and even the original fillers from the Clash Ninja game. There have been 3 fillers in the Clash Ninja series, and I will cover those 3 or 2. Sorry, 2 fillers. One of them is these Dragon Blade Chronicles. You might remember that game. Actually, it's kind of like the Storm Connections of the Clash Ninja series. I'm including that, and the characters are playable. The 2 exclusives from those games are going to be playable in my game. So I'm developing this from the ground up. Check it out. There are playable demos. You can actually play this game now in its current state. It's not done. Obviously, lots of things to go. It's very early. I'm still developing it. But you can follow the progress. I do try to release demos pretty regularly, at least 1 to twice per year. It's all free because obviously I don't own the rights. So check it out if you want something good and fun to play. I enjoy giving it a try. I'm really doing my best to, like I say, as a game designer, to learn from Storm's mistakes. All the shit Storm's doing to the fans community, I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to pull my source material, my material from the source. So your jutsu are going to be from the show. The forms are going to be from the show. The mechanics for each character, how they fight and how they operate, are from the show. Story mode will be interactive. As you can see, I do plan on incorporating a free roam. Full free roam. Yeah, that's Naruto in the middle of the Leaf Village, running through. I do plan on incorporating that. The side stories and their outfits are going to be included. I'm not pulling out, Naruto from cowboy suit, Goku suit Naruto, Sakura from the wedding. That's not showing up in my game. Outfits will be from the story mode. For example, I actually have hospital outfit Sasuke available. Because why is Sasuke in his hospital outfit not playable? He fought in a hospital outfit, make it playable. And of course, as you can see, fan service, I also included the Dragon Blade Chronicles outfits as playable because they're so badass. And that will be covered in the story mode. So the outfits will be used in story mode. They're not just content, it's usable content. Anyway, thank you so much for those who stuck around. This video was an hour long. Was not my intention to make this video so long. But anyway, thank you for those who stuck by. Have a great day. Cheers.